Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to the second half of the track chair being Christopher Lafayette, myself. And here we're dealing with startups. Welcome to the Augmented World Expo 2021 Pitch Competition. Platforms such as Apple, Meta, Google, NVIDIA, and several other platforms have had their beginnings in halls and rooms such as this, pitching for what many have been building for years. Each startup selected to pitch today has 5 minutes to pitch, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A by our judges. Our judges will deliberate after the competition, and the winner will be announced during the Auggie Awards ceremony tonight as the startup to watch. Now this year, we have the most diverse lineup of founders pitching than we've ever had, covering a wide range of topics from enterprise to consumers, tools to solutions, games, retail, fashion, lab research, even underwater augmented reality. We've got it all. A mix of startups in different stages, some raising their Series A, and others are pre-rev. For some, it's their first live pitch. Be gentle. So be supportive, provide constructive feedback, and most importantly, embrace them into the XR community and connect them with the ecosystem. There will be an investor startups networking following the pitches right outside this room. And now I'm happy to introduce to you our judges. First judge sitting in the front row is Tipatat Chennavasin, who's a general partner of the Venture Reality Fund. Our next judge, also sitting on the front row, is Jason McDowall, who's the Vice President and Product and Head of Visual Experiences for Ostendo Technologies. We've taken much time to build this cohort to present today. We're very excited with what we're about to experience. For our first presenter, we bring Michael D. of Flow Immersive.
This little lav mic, can you guys hear me okay? All right, wonderful. So, hi everybody, I'm Michael DiBenigno. I'm one of the co-founders of Flow Immersive. And I actually met my co-founder at AWE in 2018. Jason Marsh was right outside of Exhibit Hall A, where we connected and aligned. And just out of a show of hands, who here was at AWE in 2018? Okay, interesting. So I would say that you guys are the survivors, or we are the survivors of the VR winter to a certain degree. And I feel like this industry has really learned a lot during this process, where those that have survived have figured out how to provide real value to either enterprise customers or to their consumer audiences. But I think we've moved beyond this idea that we need a killer app, that there's one killer app that just gets everyone to jump this divide into headsets. And instead thinking of it as this metaverse, this continuum by which you have experiences. And I feel like we're at this really pivotal moment where we're starting to see all this happen. So if there's two things I want you to take away from this whole thing, and if you believe nothing of what I say, is that one, there's two waves. There's a wave for the metaverse, and there's a wave for data storytelling. Those are here, and they're here today. You'll see I have a live link, and mind you, Wi-Fi here is going to be difficult, but this is actually a live meeting, so this is Flow. So what are we doing? Flow ultimately solves three fundamental communication problems. How do we better engage an audience? How do we help them understand their content better? And how do we enable new forms of interaction? Now, I've noticed that there's someone there in the room joining us, so I left that QR code up so people could join. This is actually a live multi-user flow. And by solving for these three things, we can drive better data-driven decisions in organizations, and in a sales use case, more sales conversions. So how do we do this? We do it through data storytelling. So data storytelling is this cross between presentations, which allow you to add empathy. It adds the story. That's what people latch onto, as well as the analysis, the actual logical side, the data visualization. So it's the merging of these data visualization side with the empathy, the story that is data storytelling. This is not something we made up. We were touting it for a while, and now suddenly, this is the latest last year, we've really seen it come into a fold. And a lot of that was due to COVID. People wanted to know what was going on. They wanted the story. And we got to see that firsthand. So at a risk of embarrassing myself a lot, I'm just going to ask directly, who here in the audience, just by raising hands, follows my TikTok? OK, we got 1, 2, 3. OK, that's sort of what I anticipated. But I hope this helps to show. So these data stories that we present out into the world have really been making an impact. And we'll get into how that impact is, or how we quantify that impact. But first, let me tell you what a data story is. And for those that are actually joining live, you can interact with this as well. Or if anyone's on the remotes, I'll put the QR code up just one more time. So this is a data story I always start with, and I show this not to have a deep political conversation, but rather to show an illustrative example of what is a data story. So this is a map of the US 2020 election on a county-by-county basis. And when Donald Trump saw a picture like this, he said the whole country voted red, that you see this sea of red. But that the counter-argument to that is that land doesn't vote, people vote. And if we adjust the size of these bars based on the magnitude of votes, a very different story emerges, one where the population centers of the United States are really more democratic. And then there's one last view here where we're adding a bit of color to show that the country is a little less binary. And so the whole point of this is not to get political, but really to show how I can tell 3 different stories from one data set. And each one of those lenses allows you to understand it in a dynamic way. And you'll notice that I haven't really referred much to XR. Now, all of this works in XR, but in practical terms, around 90% of our customers are really mostly doing this in Zoom. And that's great, because we're defining these new interactions. I can click on a dot. You can pull up more information. You can actually dynamically change this information. We have a lot of customers that use this more for scenario planning. I'm checking out my time, so I'm going to move a little faster here. But hopefully you're getting the main premise here, which is that we're enabling data storytelling to happen. And we're doing that by having a flow editor, which allows you to create this content yourself, as well as a story creator and others. But how we consume it, how do we put it out into the world is so vital. It's both a link you can go to, it's this live meeting aspect, but it's also these AR recordings that we can share with the world. And so as part of this metaverse, we see the 3D equivalent of these, and actually more specifically an opportunity within the record space, which I'm happy to comment more on. And you know, I was talking with Tipatat yesterday, and I think this will be a good sort of segue or final wrap-up. And I can talk more about enterprise customers, but what is the impact? What's the impact of all of these data stories? And I point to this flow, which is my representation of my child's life. It's every diaper change, it's every breastfeed, it's every instance for the first 7 weeks of her life. And I got like 15,000 people that saw it, so not like crazy. But my wife literally posted the exact same thing yesterday, but it's about the storyteller. And she told that story and got 1.4 million people, and she presented it to her company. And so when I talk about the impact, it's how do we start these conversations? How do we drive these conversations forward? And if we think about like climate change as the prime example, more data into this climate change repository is not going to do anything. But if we can more effectively communicate to world leaders and to other influencers, that's how we're going to start to move things forward. And we think XR is a huge part of that. Cool. I know I'm way over, so thank you. Questions?
A round of applause for Michael, please. And to our judges with any questions, please.
Sure. Great job on the presentation. I like that you dog food, you use Flow in your presentation. That was cool.
Thanks.
But the one thing that wasn't really clear, though, was the market. Who are your customers? I mean, you kind of hint at it. You're like a little bit of enterprise, a little bit of like, TikTok influencers. But yeah.
No, that's a great question. I'd say we're constantly learning. The main thing that's always consistent, it is people communicating to non-experts. And that non-expert is typically either a customer or in a sales use case or the general public in a lot of the healthcare use cases. So the 4 main industries we've seen adoption: healthcare, actually surprisingly one of the biggest, public policies, the United Nations, the World Bank, Deloitte Consulting, so more than consulting firms for more proposals and pursuits, and I'm missing one bit. Yeah, financial services, but that has not, anyways, I'll pause there. So those are our enterprise side. And we're growing that area, and we're growing within those organizations, but this is a new medium, right? And I think it really takes off when the metaverse does start to take off, and really seeing our content around us and interacting with it is what we want to do. Like, it's the thing in the meeting that we want to do. And I think that vision is true. I think that is a reality for the future. Yeah, hopefully that addresses a bit of that. And so we start with the strong ROI, but we move towards a direction of a larger adoption that's a little harder to codify.
Yeah. A question about business model ultimately here.
Yes.
There's one creator, many consumers for this sort of product. How ultimately do you end up charging for this product?
Yeah, so a great question. So we have two types of seats. One is the editor seat, which is a technical type of role, right? You need to work with data, you need to be able to build these visualizations. But on top of that visualization, normally what we do, like the data industry does, is creates a dashboard. And publishing dashboards has sort of gone away a bit. It's people thought that you could throw someone a dashboard and they're gonna find some insight in the data themselves. Like, they're gonna dig through it, but that's not the case. People want a story. They want to tell you what they found. And that's really the thing we're trying to hone in on. It's the storytelling. So I say that because the story creator is a module for managers and for people that just want to tell the story. And so this actually hints a little bit towards our more public release, which is how can we set these templates up for climate change and others to allow people that have stories to tell about their community, but be able to tie it to data, so that it's not just an antidote unconnected, but yeah, it's all together. So sort of went on a tangent a bit, but hopefully that resonates in terms of how we're thinking of the markets.
Thank you.
Or the products in terms of who can actually be part of the SaaS products.
Can we please have a round of applause for Michael? Watch your step. Good job. And we're off to the races. Now, we present to you our second speaker of our pitch competition, coming to us from fuse.ar, Liat Sade Sternberg. Let's welcome her.
Hi, everyone. Is it working? Great. So thanks, Auggie, and thanks the AW team for having us. I'm super excited. It's been a tough year through the COVID, and the last year was amazing, so very, very exciting for us. I want to start and ask a very short question, which is based on $700 billion budget. How many of you actually remember the last ad that you have seen very few minutes ago on your social feed? I assume that some of you were on their Instagram account, TikTok, Snapchat, any others. Try to remember what's the last ad that you have seen. Do you remember? Anyone?
Coinbase.
That's the only one in the room. So that was a $750 billion question. The digital advertising budget is huge, and it's just growing. Brands are spending much more money in order to get their content and their brands on our feed, yet most of us don't really remember these ads. We are speaking about less than 1% of engagement on the new Meta. We are speaking about very low engagement on other social networks. And the fact today with privacy, which was changed by Apple or Google and such, and with ad blocks, and with fake profiles and changes of algorithm, is that all of us, content creators, SMBs, biggest brands, spend much more money than what we used to spend, but get much less. When we speak about AR, then the results are quite opposite. Higher engagement, most likely that people will buy your product, much more time spent on with your product. So what's the story? If the AR is actually working and the brands can sell more using AR, why don't we see these ads on our social feeds? And this is where we step in. we basically understood that the solution today are not made to be scaled. People like myself, which I'm not a designer, I'm not a developer. I was a great marketer in many companies. I came from content background, but I cannot create any AR ads, though I can create PPC by text, by banners. I can post on Twitter. I have this excellent ability to do that, but AR ads, it's not there. What we are basically doing, we use pre-created content, meaning we can take any banner, image, or a video, and using AI, automatically analyze that to automatically create an AR asset that can be supported on any social platforms, website, or application. I want to share with you one example, which is based on the Coca-Cola Refreshing Tints program and how we basically use their content in order to create AR experience, which was live on Instagram in less than 2 minutes. So that was the original content. The video was uploaded to our software. The AI is analyzing objects, characters, colors, audio, backgrounds, dividing the different objects, and then automatically insert them into hundreds of templates. As a customer, I can click on one of the banners, or one of the filters that I actually want to be engaged with, and online create a live Instagram link to be shared on my platform. Our partners, companies such as movie studios, SMBs, smallest content creators, reaching much higher engagement, lowering their budget, increasing their results, and everything is based on the content they already have. They don't have to produce any new content in order to work on our platform. AJ Smith, a young and promising artist, singer, has an account on Instagram with 12,000 followers. He used the same assets from his last video clips in order to create augmented reality filters on his Instagram account. This guy reached more than 40,000 actions for his account on Instagram. The cost of action on Instagram today is $3.5, meaning he got nearly $150,000 in media budget organically just by using AR and assets that it already have. A movie studio, which is working with us. We did a great test with them. We post the original trailer, and we post one of the fuses, trying to reach 50,000 people in each case with a direct link to buy the movie on Amazon. What you can actually see here, that with the fuse, meaning the video of the user with our augmented reality object, we reached nearly 4,000 clicks, but for $11. That was the cost. And the main reason was that the other people and other followers basically shared the ad. It was a sponsor ad, but nobody reacted like it was a sponsor ad, and they actively shared the content and actively spread this video. The Fuse AR leadership is coming from a deep background of tech, content, and product. We are based in LA. I'm based in LA. My R&D team is based in Israel. We already have 3 granted patents. We have 3 more which are in provisional, trade secret, but mainly we have lots and lots of AI. Thank you.
Might we have any questions from our judges?
Can you talk a little bit about the business model itself? If you only need to spend $11 to get the equivalent of a bunch more ad spend, how are you capturing value that you are helping to pass on to your
Again, because it's hard for me to hear you with a mask,
Yeah.
or either,
Business model.
Business model, okay. So we are working in a SaaS model and a credit models, meaning in order to have our content on your social profile, you can pay as less as $20 a month, for example, if you are content creators, or as high as a few hundreds dollars a month. That depends how big is your social profile. Having said that, if you have a website and you have an app and you want to have our API on your website on an app, Then we are speaking about credits model, and we have customers that are paying as much as $70,000, and customers which are paying as much as $1,000 a year.
Thank you.
Can you explain how you're able to achieve lower than average cost per click?
The average cost per easily. In all of these cases, what is basically happening is that the user are sharing the content. They are sharing the ads. They are sharing the stories. Once the user is sharing that on social platforms, everything obviously decreased because the traffic and the reach are organics. So we don't have to buy impressions, and we don't have to buy the eyeballs.
And sorry, in terms of platforms you support, you mentioned Instagram. Do you support Snap? Like, what are the platforms that you play on?
So we started with Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. We already have first agreements with TikTok. So hopefully we are just waiting for these platforms to be, to be open up for the best first platforms. We also now working on other SDK to implement them and have them as well sync with our platforms. And we have our API. So if you, for example, have a website, you just want to have an API, then you can also use our API, which is also synced to the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for Liat. And before calling our next speaker and presenter, we'd like to welcome our third judge. Coming to us from M.A.D, who's the Global Business Development Lead, Alicia Raisinghani. Please, a round of applause. For our next presenter, I'd like to present David Colleen of SapientX.
Thank you so much. Let's have some fun. I'm David Colleen, CEO of SapientX. We make products talk. We have an AI system that adds a voice and intelligence to other people's products. And if you're an investor and you brought your checkbook and you have it out, we have a dandy T-shirt for the first check that we received today. Just saying, it's here and it's waiting for you. But let's talk about the business side of what we're doing. We began working on SapientX 5 years ago. We started talking with our friends who make cars and robots, appliances, all sorts of things that are products that would benefit from a voice interface. What we found was existing solutions were really falling down. For instance, in cars, J.D. Powers did an analysis and found that the voice systems in your car misunderstand 2/3 of everything you say to them, so people don't use them. Systems collect user data, profiling you, whether you like it or not. And that's true of all the major voice systems today. So we set out to do something better. We began with our team. Our core team was Bruce Wilcox and Macklin Marvitt. Bruce worked as the head of AI for several large game companies, and he did a ground-up rewrite of a dramatically different conversational AI platform that became SapientX. He was joined with another old friend of mine, Macklin Marvitt, who is a genuine rocket scientist. Before joining us, he was doing rocket ship control software, and he's used to scaling big engineering teams. And we realized that the future of voice interfaces for products is not having to have a user learn a command. That's all baloney, that's old stuff. We need to have interfaces that are purely conversational so that we can understand people as they speak, like they're talking to their best friend. And that's what we set out to do, and I believe we've accomplished it now. So let me show you more. So our system today is a software package that integrates into other people's products and platforms. As a matter of fact, our big news for this show is we have limited betas for our integration with Unity and Unreal game engines. Thank you, Epic, if you're out there. MetaHumans came out in February. We power the voice interface to MetaHumans. So it's easy as pie. If you're making an application, you can use our software to make your application and those characters talk. This is a complete platform, and we offer an end-to-end solution. We also integrate with other people's products, and we do it all the time. an earlier version of our software powered Talking Tom and Talking Angela and have had 65 million downloads in Apple's App Store. So this is taxi-tested, tough software. It's ready to go in products right now. As a matter of fact, we're in pre-production with quite a number of companies. I'll show you in just a second. About 30 different applications that we're working on currently. But the underlying structure of what we're doing is super accurate. We use a symbolic reasoning system to get up to 99% accuracy in understanding what people are trying to communicate. And that's better than all other players, including Google, out there right now. We also do it in 40 different languages. We do it with or without an internet connection. And on top of that, we don't collect sensitive user data like the others. So we're out of the box compliant with GDPR and ready to go into products where people value protecting sensitive user data. We're working in a number of domains, looking for our gold vein right now. Our early market was automotive because we had worked with the auto industry for many years. So currently we're under contract with Visteon and Murakami for systems to go into your next car. But we're also doing things like working with Yamaha on a talking cat called Hazel that can be a companion to your grandmother and grandpa. And by the way, it becomes their friend, does things for them, and monitors their cognitive abilities and reports changes in those abilities to the health team. So we're working in a lot of important areas looking for our gold vein. So far, we're pre-revenue. We're looking for the breakthrough right now for our product to start shipping in somebody else's product. It's a big market. I think these are conservative numbers now. We're looking at a $32 billion market that's growing at 38% growth rate. I think it's bigger than that, especially since COVID. People are relying on working from home and using voice interfaces increasingly. One area that opened up for us is vending machines. Who saw this coming? People don't want to touch vending machines anymore. So we're working with companies who have traditionally built vending machines, making the first touchless interfaces for those vending experiences.
And that's time.
So that's where we are. We're raising money. We've raised $1.5 million so far, and we're prepping for a next round that will be publicly announced shortly. Thank you all for attending, and let's open it up for some questions.
Hi. Very interesting presentation. Definitely, I think you talked about some of the pain points we've all experienced trying to use voice. I'm kind of curious, though. You mentioned, you have some, you're working with some interesting brands, but you're pre-revenue, so it sounds like, you're still kind of in pilot phase with a lot of these companies.
Yes. So we've done just over 30 prototypes right now, hoping to move those into actual shipping products.
How long are those prototypes, and when will you get visibility about when they actually turn into real products?
Well, pre-COVID, we were in pre-production with 5 companies. All that went sideways under COVID, and we're trying to resurrect those relationships and create new ones. We're trying like crazy to ship something next year. Our prior projection was this year, but it just didn't come together. The market was too slow in coming back together, especially automotive, which is hammered because of the chip shortage. But we're working hard to get it done. That's what it's all about. We can make all the cool prototypes that we want, show all the fun things that people can do with this, but it's all kind of meaningless unless we sell product. Is that a checkbook on your lap? Is it a Pikachu? Cool.
You'd noted that you're still looking for the gold vein. Right, there's a lot of interesting opportunities for voice-based AI. Do you have an inkling for where you think it will be, or where you want it to be?
Well, so I mentioned that we started in automotive. it's a love-hate relationship with automotive, and we've got deep relationships there. We've worked with a number of the car makers so far. But the time to market is long, especially with the chip shortage now. We're talking like 5 or 6 years, and some of these relationships we started 4 or 5 years ago, so hopefully they'll come to roost. But there's other markets that are much more rapid, like mobile phones and consumer devices. We see product cycles as short as 6 months, so we actually think we'll show up there before we show up in your car. We want to show up in both, though.
Any thought to AR glasses?
Yes, so this is a vaporware announcement, and I'll be clear about that. We will be shipping in the Unreal glasses at the end of this month. So trust me, we're doing it.
You've built a great business. I'm curious if you can share a little bit more about what you see your competitors doing and what your competitive strengths are, how you plan to continue differentiating.
Yeah, let me talk about that. We've been working on conversational AI systems since 2003, so this is not a new topic. And it's kind of amusing to hear the headlines about the revolutionary metaverse. We've been actually building the metaverse for 26 years now. It's an evolution for us, not a revolution. And when I look at our competitors out there, I see them making mistakes. One is a blind assumption that machine learning is good for all AI tasks, which is ridiculous. You have to be scientific in choosing your technologies. If you open up an AI textbook, there's maybe 20 different veins of AI, each good at something. So we use machine learning for speech recognition, for a synthetic voice, never for a natural language understanding system, which is a big mistake even the biggest companies have made, because if you're driving your car, and you talk to the voice assistant, you need to have something happen reliably every single time you do it. But with a machine learning based NLU, it has an error rate of roughly 1 out of 4 times. That's no good in any kind of mission critical setting. So we have taken a different path that's dramatically different than our competitors. We also made an early decision to draw a line and say that user data is sacred, and we're not crossing that line for anybody. And we're the only major provider of a speech system out there that doesn't harvest user data. Now, that's a message that carries in our conversations with European companies, and it's just starting to emerge and become a growing topic here in this country. But let's be on the right side of AI and use it wisely, and not do bad things to the people who use our products.
Thank you, everyone. David Colleen.
Thank you, everyone. Got that T-shirt for somebody out there. Okay.
For our next presenter, fourth in line, who comes to us from inCitu, Dana Chermesh-Reshef. Let's welcome her.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me here. The world changes fast, but changing anything in a city is very, very slow. I'm Dana. I'm an architect from Israel and a data scientist from NYU. I'm the founder and CEO of inCitu. inCitu is on the mission to optimize urban development through immersive experiences in order to build smart, resilient cities through strong and engaged communities. The problem is, city planning today is too cumbersome and inaccessible to allow the quality and pace of urban renewal needed in an era of rapid urban changes. The major distrust that is the base of all this process today causes opposition to any change. Classic participants are yielding misdirect feedback, and projects are delayed or rejected, leaving poor neighborhoods uninvested and worsening the housing crisis that is already very severe. inCitu simply solves these inefficiencies by bringing the future of cities into people's hands through our augmented reality-powered civic engagement app. People are informed for everything that is going on around their homes They are excited when they explore the future developments in augmented reality on site, and through the same platform, they can give their feedback instead of going to community meetings or planning hearings. We collect this feedback and give more representative image of the public sentiment about future developments. Oh, what is that? Sorry. Okay. We apply this smart engagement along the complete planning cycle, from concept through approval to marketing, to accelerate development, to save up to 15 months and $750,000 from every large project. Our business model is selling to real estate developers. They subscribe to share their projects through the app and crowdsource feedback while winning the community support to de-risk, to improve, and to accelerate their project. We started in 2019 in a POC in Brooklyn, New York. We were actually here presenting in AWE Europe right before COVID. We launched our iOS app earlier this year in May in Manhattan. I will dive into that in a minute. Today we have two active projects in Long Beach, California, and one upcoming in Colorado. Okay. Our vision is that everywhere in the world, every construction under planning will be available to view in augmented reality. We start by targeting cities with 50,000 residents or more, and specifically on the largest developments, the ones that need great community support, great community engagement, and have the highest political and financial interest from both the public and private sector. We will start from these large projects for the next year and two to really lift the bar of how we communicate planning and really become a global standard of how cities are being developed. The social and economic impact of inCitu are going side by side. With more inCitu adoption, better data on residents' concerns and needs, the better and the more efficient planning is, and the greater trust in city government. Our first pilot in Manhattan was, let's see that it's working. Yes, okay. Was on a real-life project proposing to relocate Madison Square Garden, the Madison Square Garden, a block and a half northeast. The planners were concerned whether this will block the view to Empire State. And as you can see, although it does, aggressively blocking the view, they were also curious to see how people will respond to this massive development when we communicate it through AR. What we found out, and we were there with a QR code that people scanned and raised their phone and saw and explore in their phones, the public sentiment was dramatically more positive or neutral to this development. People came back and asked relevant questions on what will be there and not just opposed blindly. We also collected their demographics to really see if we diversified the audience of participants. And what we found is many young people, mixed income, mixed education level, and 72% renters, which is a group that has no representation today in urban development. These are the amazing people who are part of this journey. We're actively fundraising these days, our seed round. Why now? So there is a great political momentum post-COVID with the American Recovery Plan Act, the infrastructure bill, for public partners, private partnerships. Technology is here, and we cannot allow ourselves to have stagnated, counterproductive planning anymore. We can transform the fight into a conversation. Thank you. Sorry.
So the real estate developers pay, they collect data, they share that with the cities.
Right.
And the goal is that they then are able to pull in their getting the plans approved and ultimately that product delivered by many months. Mm-hmm. Is there a services component required to actually get the engagement amongst the civilians?
Yes, civic engagement is required by law in all cities for the large developments, for everything that is not as of right. And today, the money for civic engagement is in the developer's budget of these large developments. They pay today for either great renderings, websites, community engagement companies, or someone in-house. Lobbyists whatever they do, they still get the same 5-10 people coming to planning hearings, opposed to anything, no matter what. They don't get to hear the majority of opinions. Most people do not even know that these developments are going on. If they know, they don't have the skills or maybe time to effectively participate, and no one is coming to these planning hearings to ask nice questions about the development. People come to fight.
So to get that broader set of opinions, do you need to have a services component as part of your offering to engage people as they're wandering the street to be able to use the app and see and understand?
So you're asking if we need this to be a requirement?
I'm asking from an end user perspective. The goal is to ultimately get more opinions, a broader set of opinions, better engagement.
We believe, and we also proved this in our recent projects, that larger audience, more diverse audience is not necessarily opposing urban development or affordable housing or more housing in general. Young people are much more open to change, and all they need is a very easy, seamless path to first understand what's going on and second, give their voice. So with this large group of opinions, we believe that we will give a representative image. We do not think that we will remove oppositions. NIMBY type of people will always be there, but we will put their voice in the right proportion.
My question is, do you have to put somebody on the street corner?
On the street? No. Why? It's available from every phone.
But as I'm wandering down the street, how am I aware that there's a new
so
project being planned?
there is a QR code. So today there is a planning notice. Usually it's a bunch of text hidden behind a tree. We think we should celebrate urban change. We have a QR. People scan, see, but then when they're registered, first they can follow specific projects, or they register for their areas of interest, and then they get notified for everything that is going on. Sorry if I misunderstood.
No, a really interesting presentation. I know nothing about this space, so I found it very fascinating, but I'm also a little ignorant, so it was kind of hard for me to kind of grok it all. But one of the things I'm kind of curious with the pilot, what were some of the like more concrete ROI, like how did it affect like the budget, or like what were the KPIs you were tracking for the pilot?
This will be the last question. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'll answer quickly. The pilots we had were not long-term, so we don't have yet the results for whether how much exactly we save in time and money. We believe from knowing the area very well, what are the months that are being lost for community opposition, and this is what we target to shorten. The KPIs that we now, that we already collected are the diversification and the public sentiment.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
As a reminder to our presenters, we have 5 minutes, and with our judges, 3 minutes residually with the question and answer. For our next speaker, we're happy to call on, it comes to us from M.A.D Tronics, Paul Hill.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul. The name of my company is M.A.D Tronics. Now, there are a whole bunch of AR headsets out there, but they're only land-based. That's why we created M7. M7 is designed to take the underwater environment and the AR applications and marry them together. From that, we feel that you can get a very immersive experience when it comes to underwater gaming. Now, our headset comes in several pieces. The headphones, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay, that's better. So the headphones are designed to work underwater, give you good sound quality. They are also, because they're separate, you can actually use them to enjoy your music privately. Now, as a side note, you can take the speakers out of the headset and you can charge them, or you can actually put them in our sound tube and use a portable speaker to share the music with your friends. But the headgear itself is the goggles, which houses the magnifying glasses And then the middle section is the water reservoir, which allows water to come inside the headset. There's a hole at the bottom, 2 holes at the top. The hole at the bottom is also allows the nose tube to go through, so you can breathe when you're gaming on land, or you can plug it up when you're underwater. Then there's the breathing tube, which is sticks up out of the water. So when you're gaming, you can breathe while you're under the water. But the continuously reusable surface bubble allows that tube to stay up so that you can stay underwater for at least 5 hours while you're gaming. Now, we believe that M7 is designed to be the future of underwater gaming. We plan to sell the units for $475, and good customers would be consumers, hotels, water parks, and resorts. And so besides the headsets, we do plan to sell the land-based games as well as the underwater games. Our marketing plan is to talk to people locally, people on the internet, social media, conventions like this, and local events as well. Now, our team is comprised of 3 people. That's myself, which is the CEO. I do the product development. Then there's Will. Will, he's in charge of lead game design as well as software systems building. He's the CTO. And then William is the creative officer. And he does the business development as well as product fabrication as well. We have been together as friends for a long time. Our kids have gone to elementary school, junior high, and high school, so we've known each other for a long time, and we have a really good friendship. Okay, so our competitors, just like our competitors, we do land-based games as well, but that's where they stop, right there at this water edge. We decided that we wanted to take AR further, so we jumped in the water and went underwater with it as well. So our plan is to, first, I decided to put this team together because I thought that we worked well together, and so I started around 2020, and we plan to launch our first products in 2022, possibly around January. Just to let you know, tomorrow is Veterans Day. I'm a proud veteran. And I was in the Navy, and all the skills and knowledge that I have today is because of the military, so I'm really proud of that. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Judges, with your questions, please, if any.
Well, thank you for your service. And I'm kind of curious, what's the input that you're going to use when you're playing these underwater games?
Say it again.
What input? Like, like usually when you think about video games, it's like a game controller.
So the
hand
headset
input.
is the controller.
Okay.
If you with certain some of our games, it's the controller. In other games, we do several types of AR. So we have the AR portal, we have the markless, and then we have the target image. And so a lot of the underwater games will be target images. So if I put that target image at the bottom of the swimming pool, everything will come to life right then and there.
Okay. And do you have an example? Like, so, I mean, you had some, like, I guess, some title cards for the games that you're trying to build, but do you have, like, a prototype of the actual game that you try to experience?
Yeah, so we do the software and the hardware, so we create the game. So my team designs the games and everything. They put them all together. Then we put it into our headset right here. It's nice and portable. You can actually just walk around with it and stuff in the bag. And so we go out into swimming pools and we just test it, the heck out of it, go underwater as deep as we possibly can. 12 feet is about the deepest that we've tested so far for about 5 hours.
Thank you. Next question, please.
I was wondering if you can share a little bit more about what the market says with regard to when you're reaching out to potential customers. And then also wanted to know if you could expand on, like, if there are any issues with underwater, like Wi-Fi or latency, things like that.
So because we don't use Wi-Fi, everything is in, so it's like the mobile console is like a cell phone, so everything's inside of it. And so when you go underwater, so if we were using Wi-Fi, you can only go to like maybe just the edge of the surface of the water.
So then with LTE or tethered?
Say it again.
So with you're going to be using LTE or a tethered approach?
So it's a mobile console, it's the Android device, and so everything's inside the phone. So there's no wireless involved at all.
Okay.
And so it communicates as long as this, as long as the unit is close to like the speakers and everything, it all just works perfectly no matter how deep you go. Because it just communicates right there. It's all right together. And so about the market, a lot of people love the idea. Going underwater, seeing a mermaid, seeing fish swim around that you can interact with when you try to grab them. A lot of people love that idea. You know, it's just like your imagination coming to life and you're actually in the water instead of not imagining that you're underwater. You can actually just do it all. So the market, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. Of course, we've got negative. Everybody gets negative. But the majority, they're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. Everyone, a round of applause for Paul. Good job. Thank you for your service. Our next speaker, who comes to us from HyperTunnel, Eduardo Neeter. Please, let's welcome Eduardo.
Hello, my name is Eduardo Neeter. We're here to talk about HyperTunnel and teleporting experts anywhere. Organizations have a challenge training and retaining staff that perform manual tasks in risky and complex scenarios. Our solution is a mixed reality software platform that allows to instantly teleport experts to remote work sites, providing training and support. The way that it works is we scan the worksite, we 3D scan the worksite, we create a digital twin of that worksite at the headquarters, the office, and that allows to get the expert complete situational awareness of the location. We place an avatar of the expert at the worksite who can actually demonstrate how to do tasks. We get the two worksites or scenes to synchronize, and that way the expert and the technician feel like they're working next to each other. In this demo, we see a technician trying to restore service in a remote location. The expert is at the headquarters using Immersive VR, and the technician is using augmented reality at the worksite.
To illustrate the power of the HyperTunnel, imagine the power has been disrupted in a factory outside of Milwaukee. Shannon is a new hire stationed there. Yao is a plant manager based in Chicago and needs to walk the new hire through a sequence of steps. Shannon has just entered the building.
I'm in the electric room.
I can see you now.
Yao can then guide Shannon to the proper location, and he can point to the right control panel.
Come over this way. So, we will operate over this control panel here.
Yao asks Shannon to take a picture of the panel, and the system matches the panel with the corresponding interactive 3D model.
First, can you take a picture of the control panel?
Sure. There you go.
All right. Here's what you're going to do. Press this button to choose the next screen. And observe the values on the yellow box.
As a result, the power to the Milwaukee factory has been restored quickly. The expert who remained in Chicago spent no time traveling and was exposed to no risk. Visit our website today to book a demo.
So as you can see, the benefits is that we maximize the use of organizational knowledge. That allows to reduce cost, increase productivity, and provide better service. We use the power of VR to provide, again, immersive and situational awareness to the expert. The expert can point at things, interact with objects, guide the technician. Technician uses AR at the work site to be able to get the demonstrations and perform the tasks on site. In terms of market size, enterprise XR software is accelerating. Based on this very conservative estimate, is about $7.6 billion. The subset of the use cases that we're aiming is about $3.4 billion, and the industries that we're looking to start with add to $1.2 billion. There is a significant amount of competition, but we are the only solution, again, creates a digital twin of the worksite at the headquarters and places an avatar of the expert and on-site. We use machine learning, computer vision to recognize the objects of interest, augment the share space with interactive 3D objects so we can demonstrate on-site how to perform tasks. Business model is a B2B turnkey solution. We provide a multi-user VR simulation environment that can be deployed in a classroom. We also provide the remote support capability. Typical deal we anticipate is about $400,000 in recurring revenue. Traction, we got a grant for the Department of Energy. We started working with Electric Utility of New Jersey. We signed a collaborative agreement with the Navy, and we recently signed a pilot with JEIS for remote work guidance. We're a diverse team of engineers and business people. We have deep technical knowledge and industry expertise. We have been executing together for almost 3 years. We're the team to push it forward. I have 16 seconds, so let me talk a little bit about IP. So we have 2 patents that have been approved, one under development, marketing strategies, account-based marketing. Our system can be run in private clouds, on-prem, and we run currently iOS, Android, HoloLens.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I feel like remote collaboration is one of the most competitive areas in AR right now, and I'm kind of curious how you stack up. How do you see yourself stacking up against a lot of the competitors in the space, both the big companies like Microsoft and then some of the smaller ones like Stream?
Sure. So the most of the competitors, they use augmented reality in the field, but they use a desktop and keyboard and mouse video conference kind of situation, right? Again, we're using the power of virtual reality to immerse the expert and create all the situational awareness. These are just capabilities that video conference can dream of. In terms of the intimacy with the customers, right? So we have the ability, many of the customers don't like to use public, system hosted by this company, so they want to run an on-prem. When you see elements like Microsoft and so forth, they always have to go through their cloud services.
Can you talk a little bit more about the benefit that the customers receive by having that VR at HQ after doing the digital twin? How does that help them solve those problems faster remotely?
Sure. So one is the whole, again, situational awareness. It's not the same to be behind a desktop with a mouse, seeing a video conference. Once you are in this digital twin that's synchronized, you have all the context that goes to you. So you know where the location of different panels, control panels, different objects might be in place. You can guide a novice user through the different location, right? Because the avatar actually tells you to come here and there. The user has the ability to navigate in VR. The ability to, again, use gestures, language, point of things. The ability to create a marker, annotations. You can leave voice memos. You do it in a natural way. You're using your marker in space, rather than having to use some widget in a desktop environment. So those are the main elements how we compare. Then, again, we have the ability to train machine learning, recognize objects. These objects get matched with the corresponding 3D objects, interactive, so the user can actually demonstrate how to, the expert using VR can demonstrate how to pull levers, push buttons, open doors, et cetera. So I have all that ability to demonstrate on site.
Thank you.
Can you speak to how you've been using machine learning and some of the different applications that you've been focused on?
Sure. So we have some elements that are already working and some in development. So we use we scan or source from CAD the objects of interest. We have ability to then generate synthetic imagery to identify that object. That's the ones that we use for machine learning to identify the object and place it. We also using, this is work under development, we use the simulations that we have to train machine learning to identify the tasks. The goal is to be able to deploy AI on the AR device to monitor the actions of the technicians in the field and alert when errors or deviations of the process are about to be made.
Thank you so much. And our final speaker before the break and presenter is Gordon Midwood, who comes to us from Anything World. Gordon?
Hello, everybody. Delighted to be here at AWE today. Whoops, can I go back? It's a good start, isn't it? Yeah, I can go back. Amazing. I'm going to stand over here to appear slightly more dynamic than my competitors. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so delighted to be at AWE, and we are Anything World, and we're more than just this funny-looking stick figure on a Dayglow background. We're trying to redefine the very nature of 3D content creation. I'm Gordon. I think I've already said that. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Anything World, which makes me sound more important than I am. There's only 12 of us. But we've built a system that allows people to create apps, VR experiences, games, social filters, anything you can imagine very, very easily. And we do that by harnessing over 500,000 3D objects in our system and bringing them to life. There should be audio behind my whiny voice as well, so maybe it needs to go up a level or something. Yeah, I'll explain to you in a very non-technical way how we do that. There we go, boom. Yeah, so we bring objects to life by marinating them in our machine learning magic sauce, which you can see glooping on this llama here, and bringing it to life. Basically, we have a team of highly talented people, myself not included, who have developed custom machine learning algorithms that can analyze any 3D object, classify it, add data around it, break it up, and then bring it to life within game engines. And the end result of that is all of us are in the business of 3D content creation. We can create anything you can imagine, anything in your mind's eye, if you have an eye in your mind, super easily, even using your voice, without going through the steps of modeling, rigging, animating, or coding behaviors for anything. So these are bold claims, but it's a startup, it's the game. But hopefully you can imagine, everyone here involved in 3D content creation, how much of a step change that is. And myself, my co-founder Seb, who's wearing a bright jumper over there as well, come from a background of indie games, and it was always a barrier to us. How many models can we get created? How many animations can we have? How can we code their behaviors? And we're trying to solve that problem. And yeah, I'll show you a few examples of what people are creating on Anything World right now.
Make aliens fly around my head and rainbows and planets in the background.
I just want to wish you a happy birthday.
Everybody wanna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try. I like shot a nigga better over time. They just say I'm not the baddest bitch you like.
Can I have one rabbit, please?
Oh.
Oh. Can I have some more rabbits, please?
Take me back to 1991.
Cool, so hopefully you get an idea of the breadth of experiences you can easily create with Anything World. Sorry about the distorted audio on some of that stuff, if you're music buffs. But yeah, you can even create using your voice. We're around for the whole expo and show, so if you want a demo, come and see us. But you can create whole living worlds with your voice. You can create endless worlds at runtime. Our friends at Ubisoft call it systemic gameplay on demand. You're not limited to a subset of models you've had pre-made and animated. You can very much create whatever you want, even at runtime. So that's it's a step change. Obviously, I'm heavily biased. But it's a step change in how 3D models are created. I think about the opportunities in AR, VR, XR. It's huge. And we think, obviously, when the glasses come out that everyone's expecting, maybe from our friends at Meta, it's going to be a big step change in spatial computing and how everyone uses spatial computing, and voice-powered worlds are obviously going to be a bigger thing. Our journey so far, it's been quite the trip. We started in 2018 with an MVP on the App Store and Google Play. We were on a Ubisoft accelerator in 2019, hence the Rabbids collaboration. We were on Techstars as well, second half of 2019. We raised money from Warner Music back in 2020, which is why you see quite a lot of music examples in the little show reel there. We launched alpha and beta of our service a year ago. We have almost 4,000 creators building stuff in Unity right now. We raised another funding round start this year. And we're coming to Roblox very soon. We have a prototype of Roblox. And we're coming out in Unreal Engine next year too, and bringing in automated rigging as well, so upping the quality. The team is myself and a great bunch of people. We're female, non-binary dominated, and we're very diverse as well. So we're trying to be a progressive deep tech startup that has a lot of fun and redefines the nature of 3D and makes everybody a 3D content creator. That's our core mission. Thank you very much. Is it question time?
So I was wondering if you could expand on where do you source all the assets from? Which libraries are you drawing from?
Yeah, so mainly from Sketchfab. Sketchfab has over 600,000 3D models with Creative Commons remixable licenses. We've also stolen all the models from Google Poly too. So, and we're also allowing people to upload their own. So if you're a creator and you have your own 3D models you want to put through our animation systems, you can do that from next month too.
And how is it that you end up making money?
Money? Oh, yeah. So we... I forgot about that
Just
bit.
doing it for the love.
Yeah. Well, we kind of do it for love. Myself and Seb, we made Indie Games for Love. He's a street artist, and I'm a creative game designer. So it is out of love and frustration from what we can create. But we have a SaaS model where you can pay a monthly subscription fee, and we're bringing in a royalty share from next year. But this year is really about growing our community of creators, coming to different platforms, Roblox and Unreal, and then monetizing in a serious way later. But we do have people on our subscription platforms, services right now.
Yeah, I think it's very smart that you're, reimagining 3D content creation, because I used to be a 3D artist, and I know what a pain that is. But I'm kind of curious, like, for me, it's always like the output, and proving that the output has value in the market is the number one challenge of any tool, right? Like, if Pixar didn't have Toy Story, fewer people would care about Render Man. And so in terms of having that successful traction, it sounds like you've been experimenting with all different types. Where are you kind of in that journey of,
Yeah, so right now, casual games developers, the classic Unity dev, maybe making a mobile game or a Switch game. We have almost 4,000 of those building out in Unity right now. We're kind of low to medium poly, as you can see from all the little videos. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit. Also social, snap filters and things like that seems to be pretty popular. So anything that's more playful, a little bit more viral, also more experimental, because with machine learning, you get edge cases of animations and stuff. We've had pineapples classified as arachnids and stuff. So sometimes you get weird results. So anything experimental, and that casual game developer market seems to be the one that's fitting nicely with us at the moment.
Do you have any data around the amount of time spent and any metrics that would help us to understand the impact?
Yeah, so from the user we have 20% actively creating from the year since we've started. And in terms of time spent, it's around like 4 minutes per session. That's kind of a little bit warped because some of that is, there's different ways to use our system. So you can create a whole scene in Unity and build that as a static scene, or you can create like Ubisoft do, like an endless AR world where you request things at runtime. So the time stuff is kind of warped by how you use it. You might use it for, say, 12 hours during production and then never again, or you might use it constantly at runtime within an app. It kind of answers your question and then fudges it at the end. Sorry about that.
Thank you so much, Gordon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
This brings us to our break. Stretch, relax, and return with us at 3:40 for the second half of our cohort presentations. Thank you.